Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of LegalEx Live. LegalEx Live is a show that seeks the opinion of seasoned legal professionals about a current legal landscape in the Philippines and how it should be and does affect everyday life and the everyday Filipino. The main founder of LegalEx and my amazing co-host, JP Lazatin, will join me now on the studio so that we can introduce our amazing guest today. Hi, JP.
Hello. Okay.
Hello. So for today, we have Atty Tranquil Salvador, a partner in the Romulo Mabanta, Buenaventura, Sayoc, and Del Los Angeles law firm. Atty Salvador co-heads the Litigation and Arbitration and Environment and Natural Resources departments, and a professor at the Ateneo De Manila University School of Law. So let's get down to business. Let's talk legal, and let's welcome Atty Tranquil. Hello there, attorney. Welcome
Hello,
to.
hello, Mafe, and hello, JP. Good afternoon, and good
Good
afternoon to
afternoon.
all those following your platform.
Thank you. Thank you for gracing us with your time. I know that you are a very busy man, but we would love for you to empower, inspire, and share your amazing journey of how you became a respected lawyer in the Philippines. So, if you may, please share a little bit of your background to everyone who's tuned in today.
When you talk of background, that's a long period of time because I became a lawyer 28 years ago. I've been in the teaching profession for 27 years. A year after I became a lawyer, I started teaching, and this is a childhood dream. As early as when I was 6 years old, I knew in my heart that I wanted to be a lawyer because I grew up in a family of law professionals. My grandparents were lawyers in their lifetime. My father was a former member of the judiciary. So as I was growing up, I get to hear a lot of these legal terms, discussions of legal and political issues while taking lunch in my grandparents' home on Sundays. So without them convincing me, at a very young age, I told myself I would want to become a lawyer. Although I don't know if I will achieve or realize the dream because I was then 5 or 6 years old. But years came by, and well, with the blessing of God, I was able to become one, and and
Yeah.
and that's the reason why I'm still here. It's really the love of the law. It's really the love
Mhm.
of the law.
Mhm.
So amazing you knew that at 6 years
Yeah.
old.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I thought that this will be a great. In my mind at the time, it will be a great profession because
Mhm.
I see my grandparents and my father discussing a lot of things, and I said maybe one day I would also be like them without them telling
Mhm.
me, and my life has always been directed towards the dream of becoming one.
Mhm.
That's why after I became a lawyer, I never really planned to teach law. I never
Right.
really planned to
Mhm.
teach law. It was just by chance. And from that time on, 27 years ago, it has been a vocation. It is a desire to be able to help young people who would like to become lawyers. And I could tell you the number of students I've had. Some of them are already judges, prosecutors, congressmen. Yes,
Mhm.
I may not, if I continue to teach, I will not be surprised that in the next 15 years that I may have a student who will be the president of the republic. I may
Yeah.
not be
Wow.
because that's how it is. Those who
Mhm.
are in the legal education and who will eventually become lawyers will lead the country, and that's what I tell them. When it's already your time, please
Yes.
do what's best for our country.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Yes. Definitely.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that is to, how do we establishing a presence in law? JP, maybe you can go on
Mhm.
and get to the
Yes.
real.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, as you know, the main goal of LegalX is informative. And as you know, perhaps more so, access to legal service is not necessarily the easiest, be it due to financial constraints or even information. Do you feel like there are any shortcomings in the legal profession in the Philippines? And if so, do you think there are solutions?
When you say shortcomings in terms of getting to reach a lawyer. Is that what you mean?
Yes, yes, in that, and also as a whole as well. Do you feel like there's any shortcomings in the whole legal profession?
If I will look at the firm where I've been and where
Mhm.
I've grown old with, I've been there for quite some time, for decades, almost 3 decades. Uh, in terms of being able to reach clients and the clients being able to reach us, I don't think that we have a problem because
Mhm,
the
mhm,
law firm I'm in has been there, is an institution.
mhm,
Even
mhm,
before when I joined them, I was a young lawyer. It has always been there. It
mhm.
is an institution. But I know that reality is not all would have that benefit, right? Or will not
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
advantage. Not all firms or not all individuals may have a chance to be able to join institutions. But
Mhm,
I think, in based on my experience, there's always a room for lawyers who are dedicated,
mhm,
lawyers who are competent, and lawyers who are willing to serve. Because this is what I tell the young lawyers that I talk to. You know, best endorsement is not something like this. Your best endorsement is the last work you've done. Because those who you've helped, the clients that you've assisted, they will be the living advertisements. They will
mhm.
testify as to the commitment that you've given them, as to the help that you've given them in giving legal advice. That's how
Mhm.
I see it. It will not
Oh,
be
okay.
hard. Some people think that I should be here on a platform. While it's very helpful, don't get me wrong. Having a
Mhm.
social media platform is very good, but in a profession like ours, which is very conservative in that sense,
Okay.
that we
Mhm.
cannot really advertise ourselves.
Yes,
It's
yes,
in the
yes.
Philippines, that's unethical.
Mhm.
The
Yes, yes.
You cannot just have an advertisement on TV. You cannot just have I'm a lawyer. This is what I do. This is what I practice. You can't.
Mhm.
That's unethical. So that's
Yeah.
why I always tell young lawyers, your best endorsement will be your last work, because if you did good work,
Mm, okay.
your clients will tell you, "Oh, you go have problems." Okay.
Yes, 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 definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people right now who think that you only need a lawyer when you're being sued or want to sue, basically when push comes to shove. But surely these are not the only times. Can you think of a scenario that requires more legal servicing?
Well, I this is that's a very good question, and
Mhm,
that's a very common question that I receive. I think a legal advice and assistance would be necessary for entrepreneurs, for small, medium, or even
mhm,
large juridical entities or companies. Some people think that we lawyers are just an expense. In the Philippines, that's the
mhm,
general
mhm,
perception. If you
mhm,
need to cut cost, you cut cost on lawyers because they're just an
mhm,
expense. But this is what I
mhm,
told my clients for the longest time. Having a good legal advice is an investment on your business,
mhm.
because you
Yeah.
you follow you follow the right regulations, you comply with the law, you observe what the government requires you to do, so you avoid problems. And by
Mhm,
avoiding problems, you are not exposed to penalties, you are not exposed to sanctions, or you are not even exposed to prosecution by government, because
mhm.
you are properly guided. And
Yes.
I if I may share, I recall telling my one of my clients maybe 15 years ago, and I was
Okay.
15, he was younger then, and my
Yeah.
client was 15 years younger then. I was telling him, you have to have a lawyer who you trust, because a lawyer's
Mhm,
relationship with the client is a fiduciary relationship, and you could
mhm,
grow old with that lawyer. Haven't you
mhm,
noticed, even our top companies, even the Taipans, I don't need to enumerate them, they have persons or lawyers who they really trust.
okay.
A go-to lawyer when there is a problem, a go-to lawyer when there is a litigation. Because for a businessman, and allow me to say this, the businessman should not be thinking about the legal problems, the litigation. They should be
Mhm,
thinking about generating income,
mhm,
profit for the
Right.
mhm.
company.
Yes,
I
yes,
recall
yes.
it, right? I recall one client of mine, this is a different client, saying, he had a criminal case, and it's basically a harassment case. He's had sleepless nights, anxiety,
Mhm,
and I
mhm,
told him, "I'll take care of I'll take care of this. take care of your business. And in after a couple of years, we were able to win the case. And then he said, only after I had you, I was able to sleep, and I had to focus. I was
Yeah.
able to focus to the business, because there are times I don't want to do business. I cannot think. I cannot do what I have to do, because I'm always worried. What will happen to me? What will happen to my
Yeah.
case? So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's what I could share to those who are in doubt as to
Mhm.
whether or not to give legal advice,
Yeah.
right? And if
Yes,
I'm,
definitely.
some people would say it's very costly. For companies, it's easier to
Mm.
show, right?
Mhm.
If there is a monthly retainer wherein the company could call you on a regular basis, the representatives to ask about contracts that you could review, or letters that you could review, how they would wiggle around real problems on a daily basis. You could have that. But of course,
Mhm.
for individuals who have limited income, or would
Mhm.
not have sufficient funds for a lawyer, the need for a lawyer would only come in if there is an actual litigation or a potential dispute.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that is where most of the lawyers in this country would come into the picture. So the companies, the
Mm.
institutions have lawyers, whether in-house counsel and outside counsel. But the what you call this, the Filipinos who just live on a day-to-day basis would need a
Mhm.
lawyer if there is only an actual dispute.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Thank you for that input. I actually want to get into the articles you've written in the past. You've written some obscure articles that are about topics that people don't think about, like condo rights. Are there any other areas you think people don't pay as much attention to as they need?
You okay. You know, I think you mentioned about articles that I wrote.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
I have a weekly column in a broadsheet
Mm,
in Manila
mm,
Standard, and if you would follow my topics, what I try to do is to be able to solve real problems of people, because there are some issues which are not for the ordinary people like us. There are those which are for multinationals, for big companies. They're not concerned about that. But for a great majority of us Filipinos, who, as you said, as I said, would have limited legal advice, would be happy to get to see,
mm,
I have rights, owning a condominium.
mm,
I have subdivision, homeowners association. I get sued criminally. What are my rights? I get arrested. What do I do? These are things that would help them. Not that we are giving advice to specific persons, but this advice would just be a springboard should they have a problem.
okay.
They might even
Mhm.
think, oh, this lawyer told me like this, so I could, if I have a real problem, I can now approach a lawyer.
Mm.
He's really a
Yes.
real
Yes.
lawyer.
Okay. Um. Also, at what
And,
instances
and,
do people overlook? Yes. Go ahead.
and if my, I mean, I always say this, even in my class.
Mhm.
Some people would ask me why I wanted to be a lawyer, and this is
Yes.
second to my
Mm.
childhood dream that I wanted to be a lawyer since 6 years old. You know, you may be a doctor, you may be an engineer, you may be just a military officer, you may be a police, you may be an employee, you may be a fast food chain crew. Everyone is under the fold of law. Everyone is
Yeah.
under the fold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot say that you're above the law. You
Mhm.
will have to follow the law.
Yeah.
And that
Mhm.
is the beauty of the law.
Yeah. Now, attorney, at what instances do you think people overlook consulting a lawyer before it's too late?
That's a good question, another good question. And I think that is
Mhm.
it's something that would apply to all professionals. To all
Mhm.
professionals. Some
Yeah.
people, because again, they see professionals as cost doctors, lawyers, engineers, and all of this.
Mhm.
We'll just get someone who I know, my classmate, or the one in this particular person who I know. Pwede na yan. He's okay
Yeah.
because he has
Yeah.
the title. But when
Mhm.
the problem arises, he would see that the person may not have the expertise on that particular field. Not that he doesn't know the law. Every
Mhm.
lawyer may have his own particular field of practice. And
Yeah.
later on, he will be
Yeah.
surprised. What happened to my case? The small problem became a big problem.
Yeah.
And now he would look
Mm.
for a lawyer who has expertise on the matter, and the problem would be far greater. And you would need more expensive legal costs,
Mhm.
Yeah.
costs, because you wanted to cut on costs. Just like doctors. Ah,
Yes, yes.
okay, nurse, okay, because he's a doctor, he's a DR, he's an MD. And then there was wrong diagnosis. The illness became complicated. You have to go to an expert. You know what I mean? And then when you go to
Yeah.
the expert, it's triple or four times your initial cost. So those who are
Mm.
Mm.
wiser would go immediately to the people who they know could address their immediate concerns.
Right.
It's just
Yes,
a bit,
yes.
it's a bit higher in terms of cost, but because you are advanced, you'll be saving
Hmm.
money.
Yes,
That's
yes,
how I
yes,
see it.
yes. Okay, perfect. That brings me to my next question, because I know there's a lot of, last week Gino made the connection between medicine and law. So if we equate it to medicine, people shouldn't go to the doctor only when they are already sick. Regular checkups and maintenance, so to speak, is key to prevent one from even getting sick. Can you translate this example into the legal practice?
Well, in legal practice, uh, I cannot say that we cannot really mirror or do it on a
Okay.
side by side,
Yes.
because what I could tell our fellow man would be, for so long as you follow the law, you comply with the law, you will
Mhm.
not have problems. You will not have
Yes.
disputes. But again,
Mhm.
sometimes it is not you who create the problem, other persons create the problem. It's
Yes.
just good.
Yes.
What I could suggest as early as now is you should know your options. If I have a
Mm,
problem
okay.
like this, go to this person. They're very good in corporate. They go this here in this law office. A commercial litigation, I go here. A criminal litigation, I go to this lawyer. I would want to securitize, uh, participate in the stock market, have my shares listed. You have specific lawyers have expertise on that. So that's how you do it. Not that unlike the need for a doctor, I will have a monthly, quarterly checkup, right?
Yeah.
Quarterly checkup.
Yes.
As you
Yes.
grow older, you have your blood test, you go to the doctor will give you this types of medicine. With lawyers, not necessarily the case, unless you have a company or what you call going concerns. Legal,
Mm, okay.
if you have legal going concerns, it would be best to have a lawyer,
Okay.
because that
Okay.
lawyer would come in easy for you. Just a quick call, attorney, please give me some guidance. I'm entering into a
Yes.
contract. Let's Can we discuss this? Can we have a short meeting? But
Hmm.
just to maintain, let me allow just to maintain a lawyer, because you want to have a lawyer and you don't have a legal need, maybe too costly for
Mm, okay.
someone who has no real legal problem.
Mhm.
Mm. Interesting.
There's a lot of people who lose faith in the legal system because we've all heard stories about the winner is the one who has the biggest war chest, who has the biggest funding. Like David will never beat Goliath. What can you say to those people to reestablish their trust in the courts and law?
Well, they have to trust the system. First and foremost, I'll tell you how I explain this to my students. Only you who will become lawyers will bring back the faith of the people
Mhm.
to the system.
Mhm.
Now, our Supreme Court has initiated a lot of changes. And I will tell you, I was
Okay.
part of the amendment of the civil procedure, which was made effective
Mm, okay.
or was implemented in 2020. And your question has been addressed by the amendment of the rules. It's
Oh
very
wow.
clear now that when a lawyer, yes, it's very clear now that when a lawyer signs, he makes a certification, or by signing, he tells the court, I'm not filing a case to harass the person. I'm not
Hmm.
filing a case to delay this litigation. I'm not filing a case to needlessly increase the litigation. That's what you mean.
Mm,
That's
yes.
because
Yes.
I
Yes.
have money, I could drag you on for years, 5 years, 10 years, and good luck, because you don't
Yeah.
have, you will surrender at some point in time. So now the lawyers, when he signs, that is his commitment. The
Hmm.
lawyer can be held liable if he violates that commitment. And not only is
Hmm.
the lawyer making such a commitment, but likewise his client. When his client verifies, he tells the court, we will not harass, we will
Oh
not delay,
wow.
we will not increase the cost of litigation, and we will only file a case if we have evidence. But again, not all people are angels, right? Not all
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
They could always violate that. We cannot fault the system. But the system, of course, the Supreme Court is really addressing these real problems. And in fact, and let me share this with you, that was 2020. Sometime in 2017, 2018, the Supreme Court came up with the guidelines on continuous trial, wherein the Supreme Court now wanted to make sure that a criminal case should be terminated in less than 1 year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In 1 year, maybe 300 days. If it's not a complex, complicated case, it should have ended in 300 days. But again, you will see some cases. Now, let me explain this. Attorney, parang may kakilala ako ang kaso 2 years now, 3 years, 4 years. Some of these delays are caused by what you call in-law exclusions. Exclusions brought out by real delays in the case, like there is a petition questioning an act of the judge, there were pre-trial, there was mediation. These are actual stages of a litigation, which sometimes cannot be avoided.
Wow. Okay. Now, wow, very, very interesting. Very interesting. I believe there's a lot of people who can't afford to keep a lawyer on retainer at the moment. What aspects of law should they focus on to keep protected, be it a young entrepreneur or someone joining the workforce?
Okay, thanks for that question. JP, first and foremost, you will have to understand what you need. Let me give you a number of examples. Let us say you are in a processing zone. You would need a lawyer who is knowledgeable about inside the processing zone. You need a lawyer who would know tax matters. You see? Now, you will also have maybe the nature of the business is manufacturing. You would need a lawyer who's familiar with that. But all of these laws and regulations, a lawyer could study. That is why you would find lawyers who are what you call generalists. Generalists, they're not on specific fields, but after some time, when they get to study and real experiences on the ground, they develop a certain level of proficiency and expertise because of those experiences. So what you have to do really for I'm referring to the clients or those who are in need of a lawyer, try to ask yourself, what do you really need? So that you could streamline it and then try to talk to a lawyer. And let me share this with you. Some people, they think, especially those who are in a potential litigation, I need this lawyer, I would like to fight for this and I would, even if it's expensive. Now, after quite some time, when everything settles down, when he realizes and starts computing, this guy is so expensive. And maybe he's sitting down, I'm paying him for just sitting down. People start thinking of all those things.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm paying him for doing something. So might as well, I would suggest have a clear contract on what is the scope of services. Because in this country, we are mostly on a fixed rate. They would want a fixed rate, something that is ascertainable or determined. But in other jurisdictions, they bill on time basis, on a per hourly basis. Although some firms, living firms like ourselves, we do that. But for Filipinos, they would say, sleeping time, eating time. But in other countries, you stop when you eat, of course. You stop when you sleep. But those things of life, people get to think of those.
Amazing. Thank you, attorney. I mean, there's so much more that we can discuss with you, and obviously, all legal, subjects, discussions, and we do have people here tuned in who are supporting you. We have Cedric Common, Atty Tranquil Salvador, my favorite bar reviewer in jurists. You have a question here. I mean, if you would like to answer this. Alexandra is asking, I was wondering how or why it's not possible for Philippines to have juries like other countries, courts of laws.
Okay, very interesting question. I know that people get to watch Law and Order and all of this U.S. Films, and they get to see that we would want a jury in the Philippines. Let me just briefly give you an idea of how it works. In 2018, and in the U.S. they have a jury who would hear only questions of fact. And that is the reason why you have to object if the questions are leading, would lead to a prejudice, would lead to bias, because you don't want to frame their mind, and that's how it is. So you have someone, a group of people who would like hear the facts, and they will be protected from public opinion. And for mostly controversial cases, they will be housed, they will be placed in a particular place without getting to read and hear what's happening around. Then you have a judge who gets to hear the matter of law, right?
Yes.
But again, this is just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. In a
Yeah.
country where we love to talk, or would want to remember our friends in grade school, in high school, who we have not talked to maybe 2 decades ago, but now is in government. Oh, I know him. I know him. Because he was my seatmate. So, Filipinos are very nice people. Filipinos very nice. And they would want to get to be heard. And if you don't get to hear them, they would feel so sensitive. They don't. They've changed. And I think our system, as it stands now, would be best for me, because you have a judge who studies, who knows the law, and there is a judge who hears the fact. Now, the problem, some people would say, what if the judge is biased? What if the judge has already of mind? What if the judge has a conclusion? And that is where, of course, our Supreme Court comes into the picture. They continue to educate, a continuing education for our judges. They do actual seminars. And of course, that is where character of our judges will have to come in. And I will tell you, I think this is a great opportunity to tell our listeners that there is this misconception or wrong perception that there are a lot of dishonest people in government. I tell you, if you know what's happening on the ground, there are very many honest judges. We just have to trust the system. We just have to have faith in the system. I've been with the system for 28 years. And my teaching together with my practice, although of course the system is not perfect, I know what you mean. But there are moves towards improving it. And the young people, the students who are studying, those who are listening to us should improve the system further when they become judges, when they become prosecutors, so that at some point in time when I'm already old, I could see that it was far better when I was practicing, right? That's not
But we have to congratulate you for your service all these years, and I know your students and like you said, future leaders that you have guided will make a change because they had you as their mentor. We know you are a very busy man, and I know you have some classes after this. So before we wrap up, attorney, please invite everyone to where they can find you. Perhaps they have more questions, or you have upcoming events or other classes that you want to promote.
Now, as I mentioned to you, it's we don't, as lawyers, we don't really promote. They would know that I am affiliated and I'm a partner of a law firm. And for those who are in need of our services, of course, they just get to reach out and to go to our portal. And we don't really promote ourselves,
Right.
but it's good.
Like me, I'm interested in your classes. So where are your classes available?
It's good. It's a good time to be with the two of you. It was a good conversation, and to some extent, I was able to share some knowledge with our listeners and those who watched your platform.
Perfect. Oh yeah, well, thanks again so much for joining us. We really appreciate your inputs, and it's very insightful. I definitely learned a lot during this Facebook Live event, and thanks again for coming and then joining us, attorney.
Yes, and please feel free to share that link in my Facebook page. Okay.
We will.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're okay?
Yeah.
So thank you. Yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please, if you did not get to watch this live, I suggest that you rewind and watch the replay because Attorney Tranquil really shared some insights for everyone to know. I mean, especially the young entrepreneurs or even the young ones that want to become a lawyer. I mean, I'm sure like myself, I'm very interested in the law and becoming a lawyer or just learning from the lawyers themselves. And I'm sure JP also can attest to that. So
Yes.
guys, keep tuned in. We have many more amazing individuals that we will feature here in LegalEx Live. So have a great the rest of the day. Thank you again, Attorney
Thank you.
Tranquil, for joining
Okay.
us.
Thank you
Okay.
to
See
both
you
of
later,
you.
everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.